Carol here. A warm welcome to my craft room. It is amazing to use this little mini blossom die cutting machine from Altenew. Is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen? And talk about quick. When you're doing a project and you need a sentiment, look at the cards back there. Tons of inspiration, great ideas. And today I'm going to do my version of a clean and simple card. Yes, can't wait to see that, Carol. I know what you're thinking. I can't wait to show you. This little die cutting machine is fabulous to rest on your craft surface. It has those little suction legs. It doesn't have anything that will suction it down for you. You don't need it. It will just suction right down there. And look at that. It is so crazy cute. And all it needs is the two acrylic plates right here. One is a little thicker than the other. You put your paper and your die and run it through. Instant gratification. That's what that is. So let's get this sweet little machine working. I'm cutting down my card stock, which is 140 pound, to a top folding A2 size card, which we all know is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm going to just make the outside and the inside card slightly smaller. Now, the measurements I can give you on the blog, because the front of the card, I'm going to do shakers, is narrow because the shaker is on the right side. I'm using this Crafty Friends stamp set. I've got 100 ideas and I'm working on some cards. I think you're going to love using this, and the dies that match. So I went through some of the stash of my Altenew and I pulled out Golden Garden. Now, it's a free form flower. If you're learning to color with Copics, it's the perfect flower to get you started, because it just gives you the freedom to move all around the flower. You don't have any lines that are kind of pulling you in. See that? It is wonderful. You're going to love it. I did a card. I'll post it at the end of the video. I think you'll like as well. And I used this stamp set, as a matter of fact. So here, yikes, excuse me. I love my attitude dog. Just a cutie pie. And yeah, he just threw me right off. As I'm editing, I never know when he's going to pop up. So let's see. Yes, I took my bone folder, of course, and I did the top crease. And then I'm going to open it up and we're going to start with some blending. Now, this is exactly how my mind was rolling when I did this card. One thought at a time. I knew I wanted to do the front as a shaker. I wasn't sure where I was going to do it, but you know, as you roll, the ideas just come to your brain. We all know that. So I'm going to take my Fiskars little cutter here. I love the wire in this because I know exactly where I'm going to cut. And I'm going to rest it on top of here with some micropore tape. And as we know, the tape is sticky, but not sticky. It just gives you the right amount to hold something into place. And it's affordable. I love that. So I'm going to put some on the right-hand side as I begin to take my round blending tool and put some colors down. I went with the light blues and the dark blues for this card. And I thought it would be kind of nice to not only show a couple of different ideas with using shaker cards, but also to show a little bit of Copic coloring. We all love to color, and I think my favorite coloring medium, Shaded Lilac, I'll jump in and share that with you. So we have Tumble Glass and the Shaded Lilac. My most favorite medium is Copic markers, I think. Yeah, it's right up there. I like all coloring mediums, but I really do like to explore with the Copics. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful way to learn coloring, to start with any type of alcohol markers. It doesn't have to be the Copics, of course. There's many beautiful alcohol markers out there, and I just happen to have the Copics. So here I'm going to put it in my small Misty and rest it in with the microcore tape. Microcore, I always say that. Faded Jeans coming up next. It's micropore with a P. And I'm setting down and using the same Distress inks. This will be, first of all, I used the Tumble Glass, forgetting I needed it to be a little darker. I'm not doing any type of coloring, you know, no line coloring or something. I want to see my lines. And you'll really get to understand the logic in using this particular stamp set when you're doing some... off my flower, hello. And he's not bad to pop in there when you make a mistake so you can't see it. But I was actually on a roll there. This is the beauty of stamping with, a stamp positioner. Whatever one you have, is even if you have the then I'm jumping in. Even if you have different tapes on the cardstock, you can just position it right in there. Just remove some of the paper or else your felt, and you'll be able to do your stamping like this. And this is the small Misty, which is nice to have when you're doing videos too. So, and it was right by my side, so easy access, right? Now the flowers, I think I was going for 3 of them, if I'm right. Odd numbers for sure. And some leaves. And I wanted to express in this tutorial the different colors you can use when you're using coloring mediums. So I went with the dark green on the top, more of an olive green, and then I lightened it up underneath. And I wanted to keep the right-hand side. Oh, I'm so glad I moved it up. Aren't you? It's kind of nice when you're watching a tutorial to actually see it. Yeah, that's a bonus. But there's my magnet bar. I put some of the beautiful washi tape on it. And another thing I saw in a video I thought was a wonderful idea. I didn't do it on this one, but putting my washi tape on the door of your positioner, just so you can grab it like a little handle. So I'll throw that out there. I'm going to do it whenever I have a couple of minutes free. And then now I'm doing another flower in this beautiful set. So many possibilities in this set. I would encourage you to look it up. I did a card where I stamped some of the flowers and I used them as little blueberries. And through my whole tutorial, I called them grapes. That video stands out for more reason than the techniques itself. I mean, grapes and blueberries, they do not look the same unless you live up north. Then they're blueberries. When you go blueberry picking up north here in Canada, they're the size of grapes, let me tell you. Wonderful. But let's get back to the video. You can see that it has innumerable little clusters of gorgeousness with the flowers. Honestly, this set is worth buying and stamping with. A ton of possibilities. The nice thing too I want to add is, as I flip this over, you can add whatever ink colors after the fact, especially if you're going over it with Copics. Just make sure that it's Copic friendly, and as far as the distress inks, just keep it away from the actual line. And what I did to make it, that I was sure I wasn't going to do anything to the tips of my Copics, that you just get out your clear embossing powder, emboss over it, or in this case, yeah, as I'm growing a beautiful flower beside me, just make sure it's dry. I just took my heat tool and went over it, and made sure it was nice and dry before I started to Copic color. Now I'm going to raise that piece that I have to the right hand side, no, right here, the piece that I'm cutting, I'm going to raise it up. So when you're stamping with, even if you don't have a positioner, just make sure that you stamp it hard, because I wanted the frame around it to have actual coloring. Some of it I didn't get in, but I just added it later, which you will see. And then I don't know what oh yeah, I'm going for my little mini blossom. I love this. So I took the sentiment stamp set and I'm putting thanks. I have it beside me here to get you the name. Oh, signature word dies. Look at that. There it is. And I wanted to put that off in the center, so to speak, once the shaker is put on the card. And look at this. Tell me this isn't cute. And another thing I want you to remember, I have the thick piece. You pick one of the acrylic blocks to be the one where the dye actually embeds in it. So that one is always clear and clean, and the other one is the piece that's going to have the cuts in it. So I was reminded of that every time I die cut. And look at it go. Is this not cute? And especially, I want to mention this, if you're going to die cut a sentiment, a word sentiment, you can do 5 or 6 of them in minutes, like just a minute, and run it through so you can add that dimension that you always want on our cards, right? And so with this thanks, I did the one right out of the card that I'm going to be coloring, and then I did, I think it was 6 of the black. And my black cardstock is from Michael's, and it is the thickest cardstock ever. So you've got inexpensive because you can use your coupon, and it is by far the thickest cardstock I've ever worked with. Yeah, so let's make some beautiful flowers after I get my little mini blossom here. I think every craft room should have one of these sitting on the side of your work area, just to make it quick. You're not changing out your Vagabond or your whatever machine you're using. You just have, you know, run your sentiments through it and put it back along the side, and it adds prettiness to your space. Who doesn't want prettiness, right, on our workspace? Now I'm going to run a few of the word thanks. See how I'm building it up there on, this is in real time actually right here. And I just wanted to show you how sweet this is. And it suctions down to my table. And suction, what I'm talking about here is you don't want to remove your hand off the top portion. You're going to need to have that weight on it to run it through. But it really is, for the money value, Altenew has come through on this little die cutting machine. I'm going to mention some of the colors, the G quadruple 0, the B24, and I'm sticking with the B family pretty close, the B37, 39, and we're going to go from light to dark. I jump back into the B99, and let's see, the B24, 66, 69, 99, 79, 37, and the B63. So you are getting a lot of color. I did use a few other colors, but just all you need is to stick with some of the blues you like, and you'll see as I'm coloring how easy it is. And here, for a little section, I'm going to speed it up, but I'm going to come right back. So here I'm going to talk what I do with my coloring, and I don't have any certificates for Copic coloring at all. What I have is experience. Experiential learning, they call it, yes. Just practicing, you know. And I love to, and I'm sorry if I keep using and, it's a bad tick. I try to not do that. The colors I like to put on the tips of my flowers, I start out with the dark. And I switch up. Some people like to do light to dark and dark to light. Here I'm showing you some more of the color family. When I speed it up next, this is the B79. I'm just going to quickly explain before I stop talking and let you listen to a little bit of music, a little bit of my piano music. Then I'll come back. It's just a short amount of time. But notice how I flick to my light sweet spot in the center. add your light colors in the center, and then your darks go up to the top, flick down, and then come up. This is the G triple. You know I don't use my 0, I use light colors to get the best of both worlds. I'll be right back. So on the coloring here, I'm going to just do a quick review on the numbers. You know how I say 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 6? I'm going to explain the Copic numbering system on this tutorial very quickly. I have another tutorial that will explain it even better. I'll put it at the end. But first we want to place the gut pieces back when we're going to color. Just this one piece. I think there's 2 little pieces. And then I'm going to move on to the numbering system. And this will help. A few people have asked me about it. And that's why I'm going to quickly explain it. First number will be your color, right? But the second number is talking about the saturation, how pure it is. So the lower the number, the more pure it is. So the 1 would be a pure saturated color, where the 9 would be less saturated. So if we're talking about the B14, the 1 would mean it is really saturated in color. But the next number, the last number, the second number, like the 1, 2 or the 1, 4, we're talking about the darkness, the shade, the value. So recap, the first is the blue family, the B. The second is the saturation. The lower the number, the more pure it is. The higher, the less pure it is. So the 1 in saturation is lower, which means it's more pure, more saturated with color. That's the first number we're talking about. Now in Copic's, the second number that we're talking about here, it's different. It's talking about the value or the shade. And this is totally opposite, where the lower the number, the first number, it's more pure. But the second number, the lower the number, that means it's lighter. It's totally dark. It's totally opposite. So if it was a 9, it would be mega dark. So the 4, it's opposite. It's darker. So the 4 is darker in shade or in value. That's the second number. Now if we jump to the 1, 6, the 6 is even darker in shade or value. So the 1 is very pure. The 6 or the 9 is super dark. So let's recap. First number, it goes high to low. The second number goes low to high. Totally opposite. I'm just saying this in the tutorial because I'm Copic coloring. If you understand the letters, the beginning is what color family. The first number is totally on the saturation, how deeply saturated it is. The lower the number, the more saturation. The higher the number, the less saturation. Let's go to the second number. After saturation, it is shade or value. And it's totally opposite because the lower the number, the lighter. The higher the number, the darker. So a 1 is high in saturation, And let's say a 6, it's right mid-tone. It's right in the middle of dark. So if it's in the blue family, it's a medium range dark blue. If it's a 1-9, however, you're looking at a dark, dark blue and highly saturated, because the 1 is low in saturation, the low number, so you know it's high in saturation. And the second number talks about the value or the shade. I hope that helps you in some way. One of those, just throw it in there. So here's the little wee flowers that I'm putting underneath the shaker. I needed to have a background. So I raised up the back of this card twice with my roll of foam tape. And I'm just showing you this little flower that's in the Crafty Friends stamp. It reminds me like of a little rolled candy. It's so crazy cute, isn't it? And then I grabbed the drops, the Nuvo drops, and I put some blue on each of the centers. I thought that would just be a really nice accent to look behind the shaker. There it is right there. Isn't that pretty? And I'm showing you this because I didn't have the footage of stamping it there. But all I did was I first went over it with the distress inks, then I stamped it, then I used clear embossing powder over top so that my little diamond chips there would freely run on the flowers, like all the way through there. And I thought it was just like a cute addition to the right hand side of the card to have a shaker going, you know, with little diamond bits going up and down. Now for the inside, for the little diamond pieces, it's the honeybee diamonds in the small form. They're small and large. And what I do to put them in is I turn the card upside down and then just lift the back up and slide the diamond chips in there and then close it up, just like this. So I just take a little peek in there, and then we'll add whatever shaker bits you want to add to the inside. And for me, the diamonds just added a really nice feature. So there you have it, and turn it over and we have a nice side shaker to our thanks. But not only that, we're going to move on the inside. We're going to shake it up on the inside as well. Isn't that stamp beautiful? And I hope the Copic coloring was a little helpful to understand why when you hear people say the B16, the B43, what it's talking about. And here I'm going to add my black cardstock. I'm just going to put an edge on it to frame it out. I'm going to take one of my long sewing needles to get the Nuvo glue out so it doesn't seep out. And that's an easy way to not get any on the cardstock, is just to use a pin. And I cut that off nice and thin. This way you can see the tape. I also cut that very thin on the side. And then I'm going to add some Nuvo crystal glaze, or you can add glossy accents to it. But the reason why I used the Nuvo, the crystal glaze, is it dries quickly. You can just apply your heat tool over top of it, and then I can move forward to the inside of the card. So isn't that pretty? I love the diamonds in there, and it's not a lot of coloring. So if you're new to Copic coloring, it's just perfect. It's a perfect way to practice. Once I apply the Nuvo crystal glaze around the edges, and the right side there is a little thinner than the top and bottom. I thought it added just a little bit there. I didn't want to cover up the diamonds that are inside, so I put a more narrow black strip, and it will dry very clear. You'll be able to see that. And then we're going to move on to the inside. You can see when I use the heat tool, I'm just gliding over the top. Now I want to put some glue and set this 5-layer sentiment that we used our little mini blossom cutting out right over top. Isn't that sweet? You get your dimension, you get a shaker, you have the coloring, any alcohol inked markers, pencils, paints would be beautiful in here. And I like the addition of adding the white pen. So let's just close that up and move on. I'm putting back the little gut piece. I'm going to put it in with my tweezers, but then I grab my stylus to push it down so that I didn't have a lot of pokey marks in there. And now the Nouveau is going to go over top, and we're going to get that pin to take out any glue from the alphabet that it seeped into the letters there. It wasn't the actual alphabet, it's thanks. Each letter, you know what I mean. And the front of the card is done. I left the left side kind of plain so that the right side shaker would be the focal point. I think it's a real focal point, just the whole front of the card. Don't want to be biased, but that's what I think. I had so much fun making this. And now I'm going to move on to the inside. Now, you know, generally on my cards, I like to do the front, the back, the inside, the outside. I try to cover up most of the white space, but on this I didn't want to do that. So I decided to just do the outside of shaker, and then to shake it up, I'm going to do a shaker on the inside. So I used the Avriel dotted tag set, the die, and I cut that out, and I had the stitched die on the inside of the tag. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder what it'd look like if I did that in black and put the sentiment I'm going to use on with white embossing powder. You could do either or. I think it would look just as lovely. So I took the tag die and I ran it through our mini blossom. It's so cute, isn't it? Here it comes. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And I cut it out in black just in case I changed my mind. And I wanted you to see it can be nice either way, because we're not going to leave the white, this white. We are going to put distress ink around it. There it is there. I'm looking at the dots. And I think that's kind of nice because the front has black elements on the sentiment and the frame. So let's go back and we'll do some distress inking here. Isn't it pretty? So we'll use the same three colors that we used before. I might throw in, like the front, I threw in some squeezed lemonade because of having the leaves that we colored in green. This is going to be a part of the shaker as well, although we're going to have the sentiment on the tag portion right here. And I just going to sponge around the outside with more of an olive color. And then I'm going to move in with some of the squeezed lemonade and put that in there. And then some blue hues I think would look really pretty together when you go up over top. And that stands out beautifully. And then You Inspire Me is from the Crafty Friend stamp set, the Altenew Crafty Friend. So many beautiful sentiments in there. It's just crazy. You can pick almost any one that would go with the thanks. It's wonderful. So I went over it with clear embossing powder wherever the embossing powder would stick. And it sticks well to the distress inks, believe it or not, you know. And so if you go over it, you sponge over it, and then you quickly put your sentiment and then go over it with your clear embossing powder, it does add a little bit vintage. Couldn't help it. And it just stands out because of having the clear embossing powder. The little diamond elements are going to go back and forth easily. It's just going to slide right over it. Now for this little portion of the die, I wanted to use the stamp set and use the flower that has the full stem and little leaves on it. I'm going to leave it open with no coloring. I think we have enough coloring on the front and the inside, and I'm going to use black ink right here, and then we're going to put clear embossing powder over that. So you'll see me open the jar, apply it, and I think it just stands out because we have the Nouveau crystal glaze on the front, or glossy accents, whatever you want to use. I'm going to heat set it right away, and it really does help as well with the distress inks. Right here, I'm just going to fill the space with some of the really pretty flowers in this set. And I'm going to just briefly say that I hope you don't mind I jumped in there with the Copic numbering system. I have so many people ask me, you know, that they have trouble finding light tone, mid-tone, dark tone for coloring, say a leaf or a flower. But when you understand what Copic did when they put the numbers on there, they put them to be read a B14, a B16, a B18. That way you know where you're you know the color, you know the first number is your saturation, how saturated it is with that specific color, and the second number, that's how deep the shade or value is. And that will help you choose your markers when you get them. And it doesn't have any, you don't get confused when you're saying 36, 38, and then you're jumping up to 49. You're missing out on the Copic numbering system, the way they put it into play. You need to know how much saturation is in your Copic marker and what color value it is to pick out your markers to properly be able to use them if you want to understand the shades, the value, and you know why it's numbered the way it is. Sorry, I just flicked that my mic with my nail. Anyway, here, let's move on. This is going to be a shaker. I don't want to get too intense with that. I just know it will really, really help you. So I put some double-sided tape on there, and I put a piece of thick acetate. I buy my acetate at the stationery store. It's called book covers. They're acetate book covers because it's thicker. And then I'm going to put down the glue. I'm going to set my die piece in there, the tag, put the glue on the back, and then I'm going to just put it down so I can situate the right spot for my tag when I do the shaker. And this way it's not off to the side, up too far, down too far. And if it is, you've got liquid glue and you can slide it. You can manipulate it. Awesome, isn't it? The shaker on the inside, it's going to have the same elements as the outside. So what I want to do here, I only have one layer of this roll of Scotch tape. So, and then I put on top of that the acetate, and now I'm going to put another layer to raise it up so that those little diamond beads can float around there and have some fun on the inside. I love doing double shaker cards. And you know, I'm backing away from doing all four sides of my card. I'm learning that you don't have to do every side to make a pretty card, right? And I just wanted to share a little bit about the Copics. I get nervous about sharing that because I'm not certified. I just have the School of Hard Knocks certificate. But I tell you what, once I learned why Copic put those numbers on there and I started pronouncing them in the proper manner, I got to know how to choose my colors. I went for, you know, yeah, it's snowing. It's snowing outside. That's why I put that in there. I'm watching the snow come down out through my window, and it's the honeybee diamonds I'm putting in here. So crazy cute. And because you put the, the clear embossing powder, bear with me here, the clear embossing powder down, they'll just slide around so easily. Isn't that pretty? It's just a pretty card. And it's an A2 size card. So here I have to add a gusset. Because of having the thickness on the inside of the card, I just added another line on my scoreboard to make the gusset, and then to cover it on the inside, I'll put a sheet of paper. There you have it. But when I close it, I noticed adding the gusset raised it up a bit. I need to put something on the bottom. And I had no problem with doing that. Isn't that cute? See that little edge right there? So I took the black tag and I cut a piece off the bottom right there. And then I took my scissors and I took a little notch out of the left side so it looked like the other side of, you know, the actual tag. And I opened up the card and I glued it underneath. And it almost looks like it's a little ledge for sitting it down to display. See that? And it has it's a stitched die, so you have all the little stitches. It's like this little bonus you add. I love that. And I took some double-sided tape. I think it's 1/16 of an, or 1/8 of an inch. And it's small. And when I take the tape off, I add liquid glue as well. I don't want this coming off. Especially if you're, you know, the person that receives it's going to put it down. You want it to stay there. Yeah, have no difficulties at all. There you go. Isn't that lovely? I just love this card. I love a double shaker. I love to have a shaker surprise. I love to have any surprises on the inside. Like a gift card. No, you know I mean an element of surprise. A technique on the inside of our cards. It's so crazy cute. Well, this finishes up the card for today. I hope you liked it. I hope you like the Mini Blossom die cutting machine from Altenew and the sets that I used from Altenew. I had fun creating this. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for taking the time to like my videos. It helps the placement on YouTube if you just press the like. And yeah, thanks for making my channel so special. I just adore all of my subscribers so much. I love your comments. And thank you for just letting me explain a little bit about what I learned about the Copic marker system. And it will help you. I just hope it inspires you. You have yourself a blessed week. Please enjoy the pictures at the end, and I will see you on the next tutorial. Take care, everybody.